Welcome. For those of you who are new, I'm Tim Fortescue, an IFS trained practitioner specializing in spiritual growth and healing. Whether you've experienced religious trauma or are just seeking guidance on your spiritual journey, I'm here to support and walk alongside as an ally. You can find out more about me on my website, faithfullygrowing.com. As we go throughout our time together today, go ahead and type your questions in the chat if you have them, or I'm going to lead us in a parts meditation in a bit. If you're aware of some of your parts that are present and that are coming up, go ahead and type them in too. And if you're watching live, I will do my best to include those parts as we go throughout the meditation. And if you're watching the recording, know that I encourage you to post your questions in the chat, and I will do my best to get back to them. And if you notice parts that are coming up, or if you have suggestions for future content, let me know, and I'd be glad to consider that. Note too that next week I will not be having a live on Tuesday. I'm going to be off for the holidays, but January 2nd. I'll start up again at this same time. So join me and invite others that you think may be interested, but I'm truly grateful for this community. If you want to continue the conversation, you can join me over on Facebook, and you can find a link to the Facebook group that I in the comments and information that is below this video. And then finally, I want to let you know of two offers coming up. Every other week, I do a thematic coaching group where we check in with our parts around a theme. Have one coming up this Saturday, and these are ongoing, but have some spots available. Would love for you to join. If you can get more information about that at faithfullygrowing.com/groups. And then in January, I'm starting a 6-week series of the One Inside coaching group. And I'll be using Tammy Sullenberger's book, and we'll learn a little bit about IFS and the model, but we'll also mainly be experiencing it in a longer 6-week format. And you can get more information about that, faithfullygrowing.com/inside. But would love for you to join me in an upcoming coaching group if you can. If IFS is new to you, you can find out more by visiting my website and clicking on the How I Work tab. So before I lead us in our meditation, let me talk for a bit on the concept of beginnings and endings as we're coming up on the ending of a year and the beginning of a new year, and how we can use internal family systems and parts work as we encounter beginnings and endings. And IFS helps navigate life's transitions by understanding our internal parts, each with its own worldview and functions. Some parts may welcome new beginnings, and others may resist change due to the fear of the uncertainties. And they're all welcome, all doing the best that they can. And when we acknowledge these parts and their roles, we create an internal balance, or more balance, where change is embraced. And similarly, IFS assists in managing endings by identifying protective parts that are reluctant about letting go. And when we honor these parts, it can bring a little more ease sometimes to the transition, and it aids in healing. And a practical exercise involves just introspection and empathy. And that's what we're going to do during our meditation today toward these parts that may be triggered during transitions or significant life events. And so as we go through the meditation today, see if you can bring awareness to the different parts of yourself that arise around transitions, allowing for more understanding and acceptance of these parts. So, as we begin the meditation, just take a moment and find a comfortable position. And close your eyes if you'd like, or you can simply just let your gaze rest softly in front of you. And take a few deep breaths and allow your body to relax and your mind to settle. And note too that you can watch a recording of this. And I also I record this again and post it as a YouTube video if your system needs more time and space than I allow today live. And I encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you can be aware of new content. But just continue to settle into where you are. Just take a couple breaths at your own pace as you settle in and check into your internal world. Just notice if there are parts that are drawn to this concept of beginnings and endings, transitions. Maybe it would be helpful to notice the parts that just come up around the previous year. And welcome the parts that come up around beginnings and maybe the new year in this case. Some parts within us may be excited about new beginnings, and others may be resistant to change due to the fear of the unknown. Just take a moment and notice any parts that arise, acknowledge their presence, and let them know there's no agenda. We just want to be curious for a bit. They can engage as much or as little as they want to. Are there parts that feel enthusiastic and curious? Are there parts that feel hesitant, resistant? See if all the parts are aware that they're part of this inner team, and see if those parts that may carry more enthusiasm and curiosity, if they could extend that to the parts that may be more fearful and resistant. Just see if you can, as you extend that curiosity and calmness, just kind of sense how you notice these parts are present. Maybe it's a visual, maybe it's a bodily sensation, maybe it's a feeling. Maybe you can only just extend a drop or two of that excitement and curiosity. That's okay. We can honor and appreciate the role that each part plays in shaping our experiences and responses. The parts that welcome beginnings represent our desire for growth and exploration. And those are gifts that they bring. While the parts that resist change hesitant to believe that they bring gifts. The gift of protect. Uh, they may think they're alone, and they're not. A team here. They have you, and you may be older than they think you are. See if they can resonate with that. And take a moment and just thank each part for its contribution, this part that may come up around beginnings. See if it can take in some of that compassion and understanding if you're able to offer it to these parts that may be fearful or resistant. And in all of this, know that they're trying to keep you safe. See if you can embrace the balance within yourself where change is not just accepted, but willingly embraced, signaling the arrival of new beginnings. See if there's anything else before we transition and look at the concept of endings and the parts that may come up around that. So let's shift our focus to endings for a bit. Endings can be challenging, whether it's the end of a relationship, a job, a phase of life. But the wisdom of IFS and this belovedness, who we are at our core, encourages us to approach endings with curiosity and compassion, just like we do all of our other parts. And just as we explored our inner parts regarding beginnings, and let those parts know they can still witness, they can hang around. As we check in with these parts that arise around endings, or maybe some of the parts really resonate with beginnings and endings and just transition in general. But just as we explored our inner parts around beginnings, we can now turn our attention to the protective parts that may be reluctant to let go. So take a moment and just connect with these parts within you. Notice any feelings or thoughts that arise. And allow them to express themselves for just a bit, fully, without judgment. Acknowledge the role that these parts have played in your life and honor their contributions and the gifts that they bring. And by bringing these parts into your awareness, you can ease the discomfort associated with endings a little bit and create space for healing and growth. How do you know that these parts are present that come up around endings or transitions in general? Again, maybe it's a sensation in the body. I always point to my chest because I often feel my parts in that tightness in my chest. Maybe it's an emotion or a visual. But how do you know that these parts that revolve around endings are here? And see if you can extend some things like curiosity, calmness, and compassion. a sense of connectedness. We're all in this together to these parts. And again, even if it's just a drop or two, and know that if there is some hesitancy or some feelings other than that calmness, curiosity, things along those lines, likely another part, and just see if it could soften back and give us some space just to be curious a bit. Just see if there's anything else before we begin to wrap up. As we conclude our time for now, take a few moments to reflect on this experience. How did it feel to check in with the different parts of yourself around beginnings and endings? What wisdom did you gain from this practice? Consider how you can integrate this understanding into your life's journey, enriching it along the way. And think all your parts, whether it was around beginnings, endings, somewhere in between, for as much or as little as they shared. And let them know that if they'd like to spend more time with you, if it feels right for you, that you'd like that. And make a contract to check in with these parts again, particularly as we're transitioning in the world right now, from one year to the next. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes if they were closed and bring your awareness back to the present moment. And see if you can carry the lessons of this meditation with you as you navigate the beginnings and endings and transitions in your life. Know that you have tools to embrace change with grace and compassion. So thanks again for joining me for this meditation. I'll hang around for just a bit if you have questions or comments. If you're watching live or if you're watching the recording, go ahead and let me know your questions too, and I'll do my best to engage with those. And you can always send me an email to tim@faithfullygrowing.com if that's easier. But thank you again for joining me and just for your courage and being here and showing up. Have a great couple of weeks, and I will see you back here on January 2nd at the same time. But grateful for this community, and all the best. Take care.